Good day, everyone. Our group will give its short report about the Philippine pop culture and experience economy. We are living now in a digital world in which we are now experiencing an economy that people have shifted from passive consumption to active participation. We have various technological advances that are present in our society. Are you familiar with blogs? Or are you one of those bloggers? Everyone else in the entire world are really victims of what is written in a single blog, in a single post, or in a single thread. What sort of world does this anxiety about bloggers presuppose or imagine? The language of victimization in the face of bloggers inflicting their boring lives, their obsessive lives, their sex lives, on the rest of us differs from the criticism of rapid political bloggers. What is the main point here is that blogging itself is harmful. Harm is an embedded feature of the application like a link or tag. Anxiety about blogging relies on an image of the world of a communicative one, a world wherein communication is ubiquitous and fragile, dangerous yet unavoidable. That bloggers are blogging is a fact of this world that one cannot escape. The claim that blogging is harmful, that the rest of us are its victims, points to a link or tag between blogging and anxiety. This time, let us discuss the Filipinos' breast, savagery, docility, and the erotics of the American Empire. In colonial documents, savage breasts were signs of the conquest, from accounts of European explorers such as Columbus and Magellan to 19th century, maps of the Pacific drawn by American cartographers, to American postcards featuring Native American women. The brave brown bosoms of indigenous women were markers of savagery, colonial desire, and a justification of Western imperial rule.
Hello and once again, good afternoon. So this is only the continuation of what has the presenter has been presented. So I'm going to take up the topic all about Musica Space by Tadjar Nifarti. So taking an innovative post-colonial feminist perspective on transformation in the Philippines in the context of globalization, fantasy production provides a theoretical framework for understanding the nationalist and post-colonial capitalist logics shaping the actions of the Philippines as a nation-state. Prostitution economy, urban restructuring, the popular revolt, topping the Marcos dictatorship, as well as the various works of art, poetry, historiography, and film. So this will be one of the first backs available widely in English that provide a sustained theoretical engagement with the cultural dimensions of contemporary socio-political and economic development of the Philippines. So we have here the Time by Jonathan Crary. Short, sharp, polemic against the dehumanizing conditions of neoliberalism. So, the non-stop marketplace and the concomitant demands for constant productivity and attentiveness. Crary, a professor of art, history, and a distinguished cultural theorist, reflects on the ways that these conditions are reshaping notions of temporality and testifying the management and the surveillance of individual subjectivities and undercutting the possibility of decent and political expression. So Crary adds an analysis of the shifts in attention brought about in the mid-20th century, particularly relating to post-war consumption and television. While mainly focusing on the period from 1990 to the present, this periodization is important as it highlights the concurrence of the political reorientations of the post-Cold War period, the financialization of global capitalism, quoted by Giles, who calls it a mutation in capitalism. So Clary begins and ends 24/7 by arguing that sleep is our last refuge from a front of neoliberalism and its morass of simulated needs. Sleep is an uncompromising interruption of the theft of time from us by capitalism. The stunning and conceivable reality is that nothing of value can be extracted from it. So he notes that political activism requires creatively using the tools at one's disposal, but argues that it should not entail imagining the tools themselves to have an intrinsic redemptive value. So that ends for my topic, all about time and music. Musica Space. Thank you.
Good day, my name is Galen A. Miranda, and my same topic is all about technology and globalization. Technology by Rafael Vicenta. The cell phone undercrowd messianic politics in the contemporary Philippines. This essay explores the role of the cell phones and the practice of texting within the context of the civilian-backed coup that overthrew President Joseph Estrada in January of 2001, popularly known as the People Power II. It focuses in particular on a set of political fantasies among the Filipino middle class, including their beliefs in the power of communication, technologies to transmit messages at a distance, and in their ability to possess that power. In the same vein, they had faith in their ability to master their relationship to the masses of people with whom they regularly shared Manila's crowded streets. Utilizing the power of crowds to speak to the state, communication from this perspective held the messianic promise of refashioning the heterogeneous crowd into a people addressing and addressed by the promise of justice. But as we shall see, such telecommunicative notions were predicated on the repetitive voicelessness of the masses. For once heard, the masses called attention to the fragility of burghers' claims to shape the sending and reception of messages about the proper practice of politics in the nation-state. In contrast, as we all know, technology has deeply affected the global economy and its usage that has linked to marketplace transformation, improved living standards, and more robust international trade. Also, technological advances have significantly improved operations and lowered the cost of doing businesses. Globalization by Benvenido Lumbera. Ang aklat na ito ay pinamamatnudutan na Benvenido Lumbera, Ramon Guillermo at Arnold Alamon. According to the book, tungkulin na lahat ng progresibong guro at mag-aaral ang pagpapalaganap ng makabayan, sentipiko at makamasang edukasyon sa loob at labas ng mga formal na institusyong pang-edukasyon. Sa ganitong paraan ay malilinang at may papalaganap ang isang edukasyon na nagtataguyod ng kapakanan ng bansa. Nagpapayaman ng diwang pagtanong at mapanlikha at umuugat sa buhay at pakikibaka ng nakakarami. Isa itong mabisang sandata laban sa rumaragasang neoliberal na opensiba sa edukasyon at may napakahalabang papel sa pagkakamit ng tunay, ganap at malalimang pagbabago. So, as we all know that globalization is a growth to a world or so-called worldwide scale. So, to further understand, by Benvenido Lumbera about the globalization, it shows that he actually focuses on education in which young people can learn, develop, or discover new things about education. Also, for me, that globalization actually affected us, Filipino people, or not just us, but also around the world who needs education, because education is a key to have a successful and a good life. In conclusion, technological globalization is speeded in large part by technological diffusion. The spread of technology across borders in these countries, far fewer people have the training and skills to take advantage of the technology in which they can also access to.
Good day, everyone. This is Arish, and I will be discussing to you all about the identities in popular culture by Rolando Tolentino. Before anything else, let's first define what is identities in popular culture or pop culture. So, identities is the fact of being who and what a person or thing is. On the other hand, popular culture is the modern popular culture transmitted via the mass media and aimed particularly at younger people. Education is different from popular culture. It is informal knowledge that is generated by media such as television, radio, movies, DVD, cell phone, internet, video cable, and etc. Or the media tools such as mall, coffee shops, shawarma, sago drinks, Gen Pomelo, gimmick plays, drugs, and prom nights, and etc. In fact, any artifact of popular culture has a shelf life. It is only famous for the current fad, even though there is always media and genre revealing it. But there is no shortage of trends, and with the adoption of the new commodities of popular culture, are also marked by obsolescence and obsolete. Nonetheless, popular culture is evolved with an associated affirmation of the truth it reveals. We can shake our past, especially those made in the name of consuming popular culture commodities, from shoplifting to resentment over Jollibee, from drug addiction to the authentic nostalgia of McDonald's commercials. We still make them constitutive or make up our personality. Our personality can be identified not only by our chosen friends, but also by popular cultural commodities. This patronage is generationally creating conscious and unconscious wheels of collectivization. By the way, when you say collectivization, this is an organization of all of a country's production and industry so that it is owned and managed by the government. So this next generation to Generation Y, different from the low-waist gang of youth, rebellion of the 1960s, or the generation of Biyakan and rectified the 80s and the 90s. The affinity of popular culture and formal education is that we both pay for the supposedly viable facts about identity, a requirement of being a middle-class citizen. You study and most likely you suffer and you buy into this ethos for the promise of possibility, not what is expected to happen, but like investment finance and gambling, you reduce the risk of factor for possibility to happen. That is what is expected to happen. With the advent of national development in global ICT or the information and communication technology, placing the country and its labor force at the low level of the new global and sexual division of labor, particularly in call center work, tertiary education is no longer promising of redemption. So when we say redemption, it is the act of making something better or more acceptable. There is a specific vocational requirement to Western use of the English language that can be learned because of class background. Homes that have taught the language to raising children, debating teams and speech clubs, or watching English cartoons, cable channels to rise to middle class status. Therefore, not only formal education is the passport to social mobility. Even soaking in popular culture is also part of setting the promise of possibility. This is the new kind of intellectual capital in the immediate response of the national era. I think that's it for my part. Thank you so much for listening.